Hello, this is Christian Okoye, former Kansas City Chiefs. You are listening to Grilling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to Survive and Advance on the Grueling Crew Sports Network. Survive and Advance is brought to you by Replenishing Care and MyBookie.ag. I'm your host for the show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my co-host, former, I hate to say former, it makes you sound old, Steve, but NCAA National Champion 1981, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
If I sound a little weak and droozy, it's because insulin hasn't kicked in yet from all the sugar overload I just got from the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes of the Romeo Langford story.
Well, let's go back
the
to
insulin's kicking in.
Let's go back to
wait a minute.
1977.
Wait, before we go there, do we have a new sponsor?
No, they've been a sponsor. I haven't mentioned them on this show, but
who is it?
Replenishing Care. They have a machine called a PEMF machine that...
It does what?
Well, my son is a quarterback, tore all the ligaments in his right wrist, and they told him he wouldn't be able to play last year, and he would have to have surgery. He hooked him up to this machine, which is kind of electrodes and all this kind of stuff. It's energy medicine, whatever that is, but that's what they call it.
Yeah, it's like a TENS unit. It's similar to TENS unit.
And it's a lot more complicated than that, but I mean, he played all 10 games. We went 7-3, 8-2, whatever it was. So the machine's really good, but the thing I'm excited about is they have a new line of CBD products coming out that we'll have a show about later this week. So everybody will hear more about Replenishing Care. And if you want to get some more information, you can go onto our website, thegruelingtruth.net, click the banner for Replenishing Care, and it will take you right there. It'll give you all the information about the PEMF machine. And then keep an eye out for the CBD also, which will be coming up here within the next week, probably in the next couple days.
Good. We need to be hawking this kind of stuff. These people come on here and spend good money with us, and they put their faith in us to sell their products. So
we've been waiting. We've been waiting.
Got some human testimonials with your son.
Because we've done shows with him in the past on the PEMF. The problem is this: you just didn't care. You don't pay attention to anything except.
It's not true at all. That is, what's the first thing I said before we go on to do our show in the Romeo review here? I wanted to hear about our sponsor, and I wanted to plug them. And I want people to look at this and go to our website and check out this product, Replenishing Care. I'm an athlete. I play golf all weekend. It hurts. I'm sore. Probably could use this piece of equipment. I have a TENS unit that I use on my back, and, I'm 59. I am former legend or whatever you want to say. So these are things designed for people like me. I need this thing.
Well, let's
get them to send us one.
Let's not push the legend thing yet, because we're going to talk about an 18-year-old legend now. Romeo Langford. And do you remember?
Right now he's a legend. He's a legend in his own mind.
I think he's more of a legend in his dad's mind, but because he seems like a pretty shy kid. So we're going to get off that because we're glad to have him in Indiana. I mean, last year 16
we are,
15.
But I'm going to say any fun we do from here on out. First and foremost, seriously, as a former player at Indiana. Welcome him to our family. I hope he makes us proud. I'm sure he will. It is I saw on Twitter, the Moby Dick catch for Archie Miller so far. Obviously, he elevates this program to relevance nationally immediately. Now, we have to live up to everything, but this 100% is good for Indiana. It's good for Romeo, his family, and good for you. Now let's go have fun with it.
Let's go back to this. Okay. In 1977, you were coming out of Lawrence Central High School. And let's compare how you announced, because I'm sure it was a big deal around the state. And you had fans started lining up a little before 4 p.m. for Romeo. When the doors opened at 6, fans filled in. It was similar for you at Lawrence Central High School, wasn't it, Steve?
No, let me tell you, it's funny because my son was in here watching us with me, and he goes, "Dad, I don't think you announced that way, did you?" And in my scrapbook, we have a an old Kodak printout 4x6 picture at the coffee table in our home with me in a pair of jeans and a T-shirt, my father getting off work in his police uniform, my mother, and Coach Knight sitting at our table, and I'm signing the letter of intent. And then I went to school the next day and told my high school basketball coach that I just had signed with Indiana University.
Now, were there thousands of people lined outside of your house for this?
No, there was not. There was nobody. I had more pissed off Purdue people because that summer before, some Purdue alumni had gotten me a job working at a country club in Indianapolis to be a lifeguard, and it was a Jewish country club, and I spent all summer there tanning and hanging out at the pool.
You were tanning?
And
come on.
I was tanning. It's, and
there was no man that
was
tanned.
Gotten to me.
Jeez.
That job was gotten to me by a Purdue alum, and I ended up signing with Indiana. And the guy, I had more hate mail from Purdue people than I did love messages from IU. But I didn't even tell my high school coach until after I'd already committed to Indiana.
Yeah, so if we look at Romeo, his final three choices were Kansas, Vanderbilt, Indiana. I think that everybody read into the fact that he was doing this in front of a few thousand people at a gym in Indiana in front of probably 90% Indiana fans. I think this was kind of a foregone conclusion anyways today.
Yeah, I think the only thing that threw me in a loop here, and I had been following today the Twitter page to kind of be up to speed on all this stuff, but all of a sudden for the first time I saw UCLA's name mentioned. So, really, if I dig deep into it, UCLA might be a great place for him to go. They're coming off the ball phenomenon. He's that type of a player. He wants the exposure. We don't think he's going to be in Indiana 4 years. But the only person he could have pulled that off in that setting and not be IU would be Alford walking in with UCLA, because Alford still is a favorite son of Indiana. So as much as Indiana fans would hate the fact that he's going to UCLA, it would have been lesser of a blow had he been going with Alford. So, but that's the only way at that point in time when you go in there and see the hoopla that was being created, it could not have been IU.
Yeah.
And intriguingly, I think UCLA might not have, I wonder how much consideration UCLA even got. They've got Keith Wilkes there, who's a standout player, and Alford, had success getting Romeo or getting LeVar Ball into the pros and turning, making a career out of him. And I don't think Steve had a lot of input into that, but certainly it was a good vehicle for the Ball family. I thought, boy, that's really not that far-fetched to think UCLA might be a program much like Indiana in a rebuilding process, with a lot of great tradition and history tied to the course. But then as it turned out, he went to Indiana, which is where I think we all thought he would go. I told my wife, I said, he's going to Indiana. I'm 90% positive, but it would not surprise me if he said UCLA. It would shock me, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
so I thought it was a good fit.
And
but anyway,
now
it didn't happen. So
the question is this. Archie Miller got his big blue whale. Now the pressure is going to be huge. This year, most Indiana fans had sense enough, at least I think most did, had sense enough to know that this was a program that was going to take a while to fix because it had been down for a while, basically. And now Romeo Langford comes in. And, I mean, you remember the way Damon Bailey was received when he came in, all the pressure that was on Bailey. I think this is magnified 100 times over because Indiana has not been of national relevance for the last decade and a half.
Right. Now, a couple things here. Let me go back to your nautical theme here, the Big Blue Whale and Moby Dick. Now it's critical that he keeps Jaws, the big great white shark in the house, in the ocean with him, and that's Juwan Morgan.
Yeah.
Hopefully this really, without Morgan there, it's going to toughen up Romeo's first year. Morgan and the continued development of Devontae Green and the rest of the support players in that program. But now he's got to focus on somehow convincing Juwan it's in his best interest. Now, I think the NBA is going to take care of that for us, because I just don't think he's going to be a high enough prospect in the NBA's eyes at this point in time to jump into, the phenomenon known as how not to referee an NBA basketball game, or the NBA. How not to referee or the NBA, whichever we'll get part of that second part of our show. But right now his focus has got to be, he's got Langford there. Langford is a huge part of the puzzle he did not have, but now he's got to keep the pieces of the puzzle that he does have. And he's got to make sure Devontae understands what his role is going to be, because I'm sure Romeo's going to start from day one. And Devontae is going to shift from probably a point guard to a two guard. But now Morgan becomes the big piece of the unknown puzzle right now. What does he do? But for Indiana to have the success we're all counting on and banking on, they really have to hang on to Morgan.
Yeah, and so they've already got a big-time recruiting class, I think. They got 2 or 3 kids there that I think can help right away. And they will be able to replace the guys that they did lose last year off a 16 and 15 squad. But I think I think Romeo being on that squad puts them in a preseason top 25, puts huge expectations on them. And we don't know how an 18-year-old kid's going to react. But the one thing I do like about him, outside of that crazy-ass show we saw today, which I assume that was probably more of a father doing than Romeo, because Romeo looks like a quiet kid. I don't think that Romeo wants... He does, Romeo, to me, was probably more embarrassed by that than anything else. So,
well, and if you watched it, you can see everybody got up. We got a 25-minute sermon from his family minister. We got a 15-minute video on the full life of the 19 years of Romeo Langford. We got a whole dissertation about how the coach convinced him to wear number 1 because that's the number he was going to be wearing on the All-Star team. The principal thanking everybody in the world for the Langford family for having the event at New Albany High School. So, and then we get Romeo get up. He says a few words, reads a little prepared text, puts on an IU hat, and says, "That's it." And there you go. So I think it speaks volumes to the kind of kid Romeo Langford is, and how he's going to represent me as a former player, my program, our university, the state of Indiana, and college basketball. I think he's a good addition to the game of college basketball. He's a great addition to Indiana, and I'm proud to call him a teammate, being a former Hoosier of my own. So, and I call him a teammate now because he is now officially one of us. And welcome to the family. So I think in that sense, I agree with you. He's a quiet kid, and I think he's going to let his ball playing do most of his talking for him, as he's done all through high school for the most part.
Yeah, when you look at this, he's ranked the 5th best player in the country. When's the last time Indiana got a recruit like that? Have they ever gotten a recruit like that?
Probably Isaiah. And I don't even know if they did the rankings to that degree back in 1979 when Isaiah came. But he is probably the next coming of Isaiah in terms of pre-delivery hype, pre-delivery promise. Even when Damon came, I think we all realized where Damon was going to fit in as being a great college basketball player and a great homegrown Hoosier playing for his state college. But it probably was never going to go that much farther for Damon for various reasons, which all pretty well bore out. But for Romeo, I think he fits that next Isaiah Thomas mold entirely of a player who's going to be an impact player before he ever puts the uniform on in terms of the posture of our program. A kid who's going to have the ability to live up to his height, and who's going to create height that's boundless, and elevate Indiana's program. I mean, it goes without saying we would not have won the championship in 1991 without Isaiah Thomas. I don't care how you want to slice it.
The other thing it did was this. It made it so on a Tuesday night there won't be 8,000 empty seats in the student section at Assembly Hall.
I wrote that note down. Right. I wrote that down in my notes today to make sure to address that despite claiming sellouts of all games, there were, 40% empty seats at many of the Big Ten games that we watched on TV or attended this year. And I think that goes away instantly. I think that elevates the program in terms of that Assembly Hall. When Assembly Hall is packed and filled, it's loud. It's a loud place to play basketball, and it's a fun place to play basketball when there's that much noise in that building. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Good job bringing that up. I did write that down too, but so if I got there. The only concern I had with the whole evening was I was getting really fearful it was going to cut into Dancing with the Stars Sports Edition, which starts tonight. And we got Tanya Harding going against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Dude, I mean, we can't throw that. Romeo was going to get cut off. You can put that damn hat on quick.
So
there was going to be another 20-minute lecture.
Well, hold on a second, because this is sports news. It's Kareem, Tanya Harding. Do you know who else it is?
There's a whole litany of them. There's the figure skaters, some gymnasts. It's all sports. It's all Olympic sports people this year. They left out all the hot and sexy dancers and everybody. So it's all sports figures. But the two preeminent ones are Kareem and Tanya Harding. So
that's really that tells you a lot about society. That out of the two most preeminent would be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Tanya.
Well,
Harding.
they're preeminent to me. Okay, I mean other people a little bit younger. You know, I mean, you'll say Kareem was a little bit at my time, and Tanya was just, you know, I always love somebody who's a bully on the court or on the ice anyway. I'd much rather play the game the way Tanya skated than I would the way Nancy Kerrigan skated. You know, if you're going to hit somebody, then hit somebody.
But, Steve, you're not on the ice with anybody else, and she's not the one that did the hitting.
What, did you ever play at Minnesota? That damn basketball court sat on an ice rink.
What's that got to do with the figure skating?
It was on the ice. Let's get back to it. So the Romeo Langford deal, it was a circus. And then to me, what I want to say is this is what the problem is with college basketball. We do this stuff, and we celebrate it, and we put it on. I mean, you can't go on Twitter right now with every other tweet that of the 6,000 people I follow. It's all about Romeo Langford and the joy and wealth and happiness and love and devotion it's bringing to IU. And we wonder why there's cheating going on in college basketball. I mean, my God, the money, the bean counters at IU right now got to be counting the donations coming in right now.
Yeah.
You know, my God, we got to build a new cook hall for Romeo. We're going to need to refurbish Assembly Hall again. You know, we now can have the Romeo Langford seating section where you'll invest more money if you want to sit in that seating section. So, and we're going to have Romeo Langford cups, but see, this is where we're going to have Romeo Langford Adidas shoes now.
I guarantee you the jerseys are already hanging in the bookstore.
Jerseys are hanging, yeah. I mean, the number one jerseys, probably can't buy one online right now. They're probably sold out.
Yeah.
I would guess anywhere you try to go to right now, they're crashing the network. And it's, again, I want to just keep reiterating, I'm thrilled to death for Romeo, thrilled to death for IU. It's all good. But this is the silliness of the whole process of what television and money does to sports and why the NCAA has to quit looking at college basketball as an amateur sport. It's not amateur. Okay? There's nothing amateur about college basketball anymore. Right now, how many people in this country are profiting off the name Romeo Langford right now? I got some of our competition honking T-shirts are already selling.
Yeah.
One Twitter page, I'm not going to mention their name, but one was hawking T-shirts. Go to this website and buy the brand new Romeo Langford T-shirt, you know, and it's like already, even Christmas. So it is, to me, this is where we lost the spirit of the game once you get off the court. I mean, even when I was in college and playing, you know, you got patted on the back, you got looks from girls, and you got invited to parties, but you weren't a demigod like these guys are now. I mean, you know, we were still went to class. Teachers still asked us for our homework. We had expectations to meet, and we just was not the hoopla that this whole mess of NCAA basketball has become. And tonight, if you did watch any of it, participate in any of it, and to hear the people that had no business getting up and talk for what amounted to a kid picking up a hat, one of three hats on a podium, putting it on his head, and then to watch the sobbing and crying going on in the stands. You know, 3,500 people in the stands, all was weeping like they just had hit the lottery and were going to save their mother and father from cancer, and they were going to cure Alzheimer's. It was like almost like that. And
a ton of those people probably didn't watch one Indiana game last year.
Probably didn't. I don't know. So it's all good in the end. I think it's a good choice for Romeo. I think it's a good win for Indiana. Now, hopefully, we'll keep some of our Indiana kids back in Indiana. And I know for people that are listening in Texas, Mary, that really don't give a damn about Indiana basketball. You know, it's the flavor of the minute. So be it. What else do you want to add to it? It's over and done with.
I'm done. I don't care now. We'll talk about it in like late October, early November when it matters.
Yeah, we'll pick up more on the Romeo. You know. Yeah, I think that he's got a lot of hype to live up to, and I think he will. I think he'll be fine. He's a good kid, good basketball player. Archie Miller, I believe in Archie a lot. I think that he'll find the right way to use him. And right now, Indiana needs to make sure they're focusing like heck to keep Juwan Morgan in the mix.
All right, so we're going to transition here, and we're going to go to our second topic, which is there's no Indiana basketball tonight. Because LeBron James plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and there's a lot of money in the NBA for that. And the thing that's interesting to me is we did a poll on thegroomingtruth.net. I put it up like an hour or two ago, and like 60% of the people so far to put in thinks the NBA is fixed. And I sat down and did a little research today. And just to give you an idea about the NBA being fixed, the NBA draft lotto from 1985 to now, 6 teams that going in had less than a 2% chance to get the number 1 pick in the draft. And on 6 occasions, those teams with less than 2% chance somehow got that draft pick. Now,
and they all seem to be the perfect fit for that team.
Oh, yeah.
Based on hometown, their geographic location.
Yeah, you look at 1985, it comes down to the Golden State Warriors or the New York Knicks to get Patrick Ewing.
Right.
You had the Ben envelope. When you look at this, Cleveland loses LeBron, but wins 2 of the next 3 NBA lotteries. And, I mean, it's a joke. And when you look at it, Michael Jordan got away with this stuff. As a Pacer fan, I remember a lot of times when this happened. 1999, you remember Larry Johnson with the 4-point play where he hits the 3 that would have just tied the game. And they call a foul even though he wasn't touched. He hits the shot. They win the series. I mean, there's so many instances here where stuff happens that is questionable. And the thing is this. How many times do you remember Cleveland Cavalier fans complaining about losing a game or in the playoffs? It doesn't happen. You know, Michael Jordan, how many times did he get screwed in the playoffs? Doesn't happen. But if you're an Indiana Pacer fan or a Sacramento Kings fan, it happens all the time. And the thing is this, here and there, there's bad calls. But when the bad calls all seem to fall on one side in favor the bigger players. I mean, LeBron James, I counted, on 3 occasions, dunked the ball in this last game by taking 3 steps. And then the thing that really set me off, because this is one that's inexcusable, is Collinson gets a technical for waving his hand at a referee. Does anybody in the world think that a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James would get a technical in a Game 7 for something like that?
No. I don't know what to say because I watched the entire Indiana Pacers Cleveland series, and it's the first really investment I've made into the NBA in quite a while. I'm not a big fan of the NBA because of everything you just eloquently said. I don't like the way the game's played. I don't like the way the guys represent the game of basketball. I don't like the selfishness by which most of them play with, and the lack of team concept that's involved in the game. And I don't like the calls. And I can't sit here and fathom that they would actually be blatantly cheating to help Cleveland win. But you just know in your heart, and you see it repeatedly, close calls fall not 50% each way. They go 90% one way or the other in favor of what we all perceive the outcome needs to be to better the NBA. Let's take a look at this. Toronto wins. They're going to play either Cleveland or Indiana. Toronto's a small media market. Indianapolis is a small media market. Cleveland is a huge market. The marquee
Cleveland's not a
NBA,
big market. LeBron James is a big market.
Cleveland still is a bigger market than Toronto or Indianapolis. Okay? But you have the marquee player in the league. The NBA does not want to have to. Now, the saving grace I thought might be that we got Philly going against Boston, which is going to be the dream matchup for the next week in the NBA. That's the best matchup going right now. Watch those 2 future NBA championship teams, both of them are of that caliber, are going to be duking it out for the next 5 to 7 games. And that's what's going to be great. So I thought, well, maybe they can let slide. But from the marketing standpoint, the NBA is probably the most marketing machine that has to rely on the marketing more than the talent involved in the game. The NFL puts good product on the field. Football games are still very fun and very entertaining to watch. College basketball speaks for itself. Baseball, I don't even understand baseball. I don't understand the whole concept of the game. And I do really, but I don't. Anybody can sit there for 3 hours and watch these guys chew tobacco and throw balls.
They're not allowed to chew tobacco anymore, Steve.
All right, chew bubble gum. Chew bubble gum. Bubble gum.
Okay.
Whatever. So, but anyway, but the NBA relies so heavily on its marketing to sell its products that these things go on. And you sit there and you start looking at this game, the way it's played, and the way you think you're shaking down. And then, I learned this. I gained respect for LeBron James watching the series. He truly is the best player in the NBA. His talent and his ability to make things happen on the court are superior to anybody else that I've seen play on a more consistent basis. That being said, I don't understand why he feels he needs to do all the flopping, acting, crybaby stuff. He gets bonked on the head, of which they call a dead ball technical. While the play is going on, he gets bonked on the head, but yet it's a dead ball technical. And then he lays there like he's comatose in a state of catatonic delusion for the next 30 seconds, 40 seconds. When you go back and replay, it was like there was no, I don't even call a foul there. It was just two physical guys going after a basketball. But then they don't want to call a flagrant foul, but they call a dead ball technical foul. And then one of the announcers, who I don't even know who it was, won't be announcing the game for the NBA next year. How can we call a dead ball technical on who was the guy, Lance Stevenson, yet LeBron goes ahead after the foul and makes a layup, and they give him the layup. It's not a dead ball layup, but it's a dead ball foul.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the unjustification in the NBA of that, and then the absolute inconsistency. You come down and you see Stevenson get punked the same way, or a screen set on Stevenson, or Oladipo handled one way. LeBron comes down, and it's the exact opposite call.
Well, Miles Turner's sixth foul.
Oh, Miles Turner's sixth foul was a joke. He didn't even touch the guy.
Yeah, it should have been a blocking foul and a three-point play.
Exactly. And they turn around, and, I mean, when you go back and watch the replay, it's like I just looked and I just said, this people that put this show on ought to be ashamed of themselves. They just ought to be ashamed of themselves. And then we talk about instant replay. What in the world is more black and white than replaying or instant replaying a potential goaltending call? There's no gray area there. You review the film, you look at it, and say, yep, the ball hit the backboard first. It was on its way to the basket, whether it was below the rim or above the rim. And LeBron slapped the ball after it touched the backboard. That, by their own definition, is goaltending. It's not gray. It's black and white. And they don't review it. Now, it brought to my attention later that it was up to Nate McMillan to ask for that to be reviewed.
Yeah, and Nate McMillan proved to be a bad coach in this series, I think.
But he blew a couple of calls that cost him the series.
Well, you got to give the foul with 3 seconds left when you got one to give and you're up by there and you're basically in a tie game.
The minute LeBron gets the basketball, my only concern there is LeBron even start flagrant, or if he just somehow gets a hand moving toward the basket, he gets 3 free throws. You would almost have to body wrap him to make sure, because he could grab the ball, touch it, and just slap it toward the basket, and they say, foul in the act of shooting.
Yeah.
That's the call I'm afraid you get.
Yeah.
Is you get that. He didn't have to touch it. All he had to do was throw it high enough that he could jump up. You could grab his arm while he's jumping up. He could just flick the ball toward the basket in the three-point area, and the referee would go, foul, 3 points, he's in the act of shooting.
Yeah, but the thing that stood out to me about this whole thing, Steve,
so I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can pull that stunt on LeBron, because it would either be a flagrant foul or it would be he's in the act of shooting. In that situation, you can't give up the points because you're tied.
But the thing I took away from this was this. I think the Pacers are a really talented young team. I don't think they're ready to win it yet. There is a way to do that, and that is, the 2 games they won by blowouts. You got to go out and play like that to be able to pull that out. And you have to be ahead by 5 to 10 points in the fourth quarter. And the thing that stood out to me during that Game 7, I'm a negative person just by habit, because I'm a Bengals fan, a Pacers fan, an IU fan, a Reds fan. Nothing good's happened since 1990 for me. So the thing I did know is this, though. Every time, and I think there was 3 different occasions, they fell down by 14, 16 points. I always knew they would come back, but the thing that ruined the game for me was when they're down 14 and they're making a comeback in the fourth quarter, you know that there's going to be a call like you had on Miles Turner, or a call like a couple games before with the goaltending, and you know that it's going to take an act of God for them to get this game out of the officials' hands.
Yeah. I saw no hope. Once we got to Game 7, even though I told all of my buddies, there's no way we're going to. Oh yeah, they're playing. All they got to do is play like they did. It doesn't matter. We never got the opportunity to play like. They never let us into the game to play like that. I mean, they basically let Oladipo get mugged. You know, he's pretty well double beaten almost on every play. I mean, it's subtle. It's subtle how they do it. They're not, it's not like they just blow calls. They just take poetic license with calls, and I think that's what the NBA refereeing is. I mean, I see LeBron talking more to the referees than I see the coach talking to LeBron.
Yeah, and when a pacer will question the call, he'll get a technical. Because I remember, I don't remember if it was the last game or the game before that, but one of the Pacers just questioned a call, and they teed him up right away. And a few minutes later, LeBron is bitching at an official for about 30 seconds, then puts his arm around him and walks with him and bitches at him, and they don't call a damn thing.
Yeah. Like I said, I just started watching, and LeBron does not virtually ever step onto the court without having some discussion with a referee.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're asking, you know, what kind of drink or alcohol LeBron's supposed to send over to the referee, or, you know, or what kind of steak, how he wants the steak cooked over at LeBron's house after the game, or what they're discussing. But there's almost virtually always a conversation. And I just don't think that should be occurring. It doesn't sit well. It doesn't look well. It puts a human factor into it. And, you know, and then this total blatant or illogical use of instant replay. I mean, go back and whether it's a flagrant foul or not, I mean, you just call it. If you didn't see this flagrant foul the first time, why do you have to go back and then they miss it? I mean, they miss the call entirely. So they don't get the flagrant foul on Stevenson. They come back and say it was a dead ball technical. Excuse me, the play was still going on when he hit him in the head.
Yeah.
There was no whistle blown
yet. It wasn't a hit. It was more of a tap.
Right. It was, yeah. And then LeBron's laying there like, you know, he needs resuscitation.
Yeah.
So it just bodes why I don't have a lot of use for the NBA. It's you know, my hope is that the Brad Stevenses, the young coaches coming in this league, turn this back into Steve Kerrs that are coaching, turn this game back into a team-oriented game like we had, you know, in the early 80s through the mid-80s.
I think for the most part, if you look at the teams left in the playoffs, whether it's the Warriors or whoever it is, the majority of these teams do play that way. And that leads me to my next question. When you look at the conference semifinal matchups, let's say Boston-Philadelphia, who do you favor there?
Philadelphia. I think it's only because I think they're more healthy. I think Boston's going to be – Boston's got a better coach. Although I like Philadelphia's coach, I think he's good, really good. But I just think right now Philly's pretty much at full strength. And to not have Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving is a disadvantage. But if there's one coach who can work through that, it's Brad Stevens. Make no bones about it. I think that Brad Stevens is the best coach in the NBA right now in terms of coaching a basketball team. You know, Popovich is right up there with him, and certainly you got to look at Kerr, but I think Stevens is getting more out of less than anybody, and they've got a lot of talent, but they don't have that old world NBA talent that still dominates the game, the LeBron James talent. The star system, which the NBA still wants to rely on, it's going back to a team system in the NBA, which I think is going to make the NBA in for a renaissance period coming up here very shortly. I think you're going to see, instead of hyping the LeBron James, you're going to be hyping the Sixers, the Celtics, the Pacers, the Pelicans. The Pelicans are looking good. You know, you're going to start hyping these young teams coming in as a factor to play against rather than just playing against LeBron. Because I think the NBA has already proven you aren't going to beat LeBron. You know, not as long as he's our poster child.
Yeah, well, let's just hope a team named the Pelicans doesn't win an NBA title, because that's the dumbest nickname for a team I think I've ever heard of, at least for a professional team. How about Toronto, Cleveland?
Oh, I think Cleveland, bar none. I think Cleveland's in the finals of the NBA. I think they're in there easier than Boston or Philadelphia is.
All right.
I think that's 5 or 6 games.
Really?
I can see Cleveland. Yeah. I mean, actually, Cleveland didn't play badly in the last game. I mean, Love had his game going. George Hill came back and played well. You know, the Cleveland can be a formidable team when they play solidly together to get everybody going. The question is that those guys are so inconsistent to how they play. But I think LeBron's good. I say what you want. He's a great basketball player. He smells blood, and he knows how to attack. I mean, you know, trust me, the Pacers are trying everything they can against LeBron, and it's not all protection. The guy puts up 45 points or 40 points in 2 games. You know, that's talent that does that. And he comes out and hits his first 7 shots of the game. I'll never begrudge the man the talent credit he deserves. I just don't like the protection. You know, my God, if John F. Kennedy had gotten that kind of protection in 1963, he'd still be alive. You know, he would have finished out his term and took another one. But it's just the protection there for LeBron is just so overwhelming, and I think it's just unnecessary, really.
All right, so
but I think, yeah,
I think Toronto takes them out in 5 or 6 games. I don't even think it'll be that competitive. I just think Toronto is a more talented team than Indiana. They've got home court advantage, so they are more likely to be able to get up with leads that can keep the referees from controlling things. I think you look at Toronto and Philly in the conference final. I think that's a close matchup, which I think will referee favor the Philadelphia 76ers, because you know the NBA doesn't want the Toronto Raptors in the finals.
Yeah, no, they don't. And I think they want LeBron going out.
Hell, I don't want the Toronto Raptors in the finals.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to see that either.
I mean, they're Toronto. There shouldn't be a basketball team in Toronto that can win an NBA championship. And if we break it down,
you know,
I mean, do we really want to watch Toronto against Golden State or Houston? It just doesn't sound like a championship matchup. Which brings us to the West. You got Golden State against, you know, the Pelicans, Utah against Houston. I think when we look at that, I think after about 5 games in both of those series, we're going to get Golden State, Houston, and we're going to find out who the best team in the NBA is in the Western Conference Final.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely. You know, the scary part about Golden State right now is they're doing it all without Curry. He's eligible to play now. I know that they talked about not playing him, but I really think they need to get him some game minutes now, I think, because they're going to need him here pretty quickly. They may not need him against the Pelicans. I don't know. They had a big blowout first game. But they're definitely going to need him against Houston. And I don't want to be getting him game ready against Houston. You know, and I'm sure, you know, Steve Kerr is a hell of a lot smarter basketball coach in the NBA than I'll ever dream of being. And it's easy to be an armchair quarterback. I get that. But I think you need to start working him in now, and he's got to get game shape. And game shape includes contact, physicality, hanging, biting, you know, yelling, sweating, focusing, all parts of it. You don't get that in practice that you get in a game situation. So hopefully they do, but I think that's going to be a fun matchup. I think it's a good balance for the NBA because right now you got Philly and Boston, and then you're going to end up by what I believe you're going to end up having Golden State and Houston. So you're going to have a really good series going on while the others are going to be kind of not a good series. Like I don't think Houston or Cleveland or Cleveland and Toronto's going to be that great of a series. And, you know, I just think that's where it's going to go. But it's right now for me out west, it's a pick 'em.
All right.
I would tend to say Golden State only because they've been there and done that. But in Houston, I think they had the best record in the NBA, didn't they, this year?
Yeah, they're the number one seed.
Yeah,
they do have home court advantage, seed, which is another thing
throughout the playoffs, which is huge. It's huge. Well, yeah, that game against Cleveland with the Pacers, that game's played in Indianapolis. I think it's a different outcome.
I don't. I think the Pacers still get screwed.
I think they get screwed, but not as bad.
But all right.
But the great thing was, hey, wait. One last thing I want to say. Close out on that thing. How about you boys at what's our myBookingBuddy.com?
What about them?
Sounds like they got their asses handed to them.
Well, that's good.
LeBron or Oladipo's 3-pointer at the buzzer changed the point spread and did like a multi-million-dollar swing on the payouts.
Yeah, because that made it like a 3 or 4 point game, and I think
it covered the spread.
6.
The Pacers covered the spread, and the bookies paid out. Betting parlors paid out big time because they covered the spreads.
All right, real quick, Steve. We're going to hear a message from our sponsor, Replenishing Care. We'll be back in 42 seconds.
Replenishing Technologies helps athletes of all levels train, recover, and perform at their absolute best. We do this by offering the PEMF 120, the world's leading pulsed electromagnetic field therapy device. Workouts, injury, and stress cause cells to lose their natural power. PEMF works like a battery charger, helping cells regain the power needed to dump toxins, take in oxygen and nutrients, and repair. 95% of athletes report less pain, increased range of motion, more energy, and they simply feel better after using PEMF 120. If you'd like to count yourself among that group, contact us at www.replenishingtechnologiesinc.com.
All right, guys. I'm Mike Goodpaster, sitting here with Steve Risley. Well, not sitting here. I'm on a computer, and he's on his phone, but you know what I mean. I already talked about Romeo Langford, the NBA. Next up's the NFL draft. I don't know if Steve's going to contribute here or not, but I don't know how well-versed Steve is on the NFL draft. But we are going to talk about the 5 best moves and the 5 worst moves in the NFL draft. Steve, do you have any take on the NFL draft?
I don't like the number 1 pick by Cleveland. I don't know. I just think that that's a program that has been made risky picks, and I think they've made enough bad risky picks that they needed to probably be a little more conservative, even if it meant giving up some potential and talent. I think the days of 6-foot quarterbacks are far and few between in the NFL.
Really?
Anymore.
I
think so. Now,
5.
You're a quarterback coach. Yeah, I know, but they've all been there quite a while, too. You're talking about in the draft.
No, I'm just saying right now, you look at Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. I mean, it's one.
But those are –
there's more now, Steve, because more guys are given the opportunity.
Right, but and there's 30 quarterbacks in the NFL, and I bet the average height of a quarterback in the NFL is well above 6'3" or 6'4" at this point in time. I don't know that off the top of my head, but anyway, there was some personality quirks with this guy. I just don't know that Cleveland can afford. Well, of course they can afford it because the idiot dog pound keeps showing up no matter what. Forget the Cubs; they're not the king of Wiggle next year. It's now the Cleveland Browns football team. But they went through the litany of starting quarterbacks they've gone through, like in the last 15 years. It's like 30 starting quarterbacks they've had.
28 since they've come back to Cleveland.
28.
But I don't think anybody thought any of them would be any good. I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I would defer to you.
I just don't know that in Cleveland that anybody can be successful right now just because it seems like they're snake bitten. So I would have doubts about anybody they brought in, but the last 2 drafts, they passed on guys like Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson, and I don't think they had any choice with their fan base but to draft a quarterback number 1. I don't think.
There were other quarterbacks out there. There were other quarterbacks out there.
None of them, to me, are guys where you look at them and you think, like when John Elway came out, Andrew Luck, guys like that, you knew they were going to be great quarterbacks. There wasn't much chance there that they were going to fail. But I think with all these guys, there's questions about them. I actually think the Browns would have been better off to pick Saquon Barkley first and to pick Quentin Nelson fourth, which is the best offensive lineman, a stud running back. They've got Tyrod Taylor, who was a good enough quarterback to get the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs last year. But I think that this is something where they feel like they absolutely have to do this just because they've missed so badly the last few years.
Yeah, I don't know. I would defer to you. I just don't know that was a great first-round pick, given the history of not great first-round quarterback picks. And this guy seems to carry a lot of the same baggage that some of these other guys.
Don't say Johnny Manziel.
I'm not going to.
What baggage does he carry?
Height is one. I mean, to me, from my perspective, and again, I defer to you. You are a quarterback coach in the NFL. I would definitely defer to you on this. But from my perspective, the way the game is, how I watch it, the position has evolved into a guy with a great arm is much more valuable to your team than a guy with great legs.
He has a great arm.
And the average height of the lineman in the NFL is well over 6'5" now, 6'4". To be able to see over those guys and be able to pick long-range targets and to have arm strength to fire and see the field of vision, to read defenses, to me, is just more valuable than a scrambling quarterback. I've seen a scrambling quarterback succeed in I don't know how many years to the level to where a passing quarterback has. Your superstars are still your Tom Brady's, your Peyton Manning's,
Russell Wilson.
Your drop back passes, your passers, your Carson Wentz's, your guys that stay back in that pocket, take the protection.
But Baker Mayfield, this is the thing that I don't get. Baker Mayfield is a pocket passer. He's 6'1".
Well,
It's not like he's 5'10" or 5'11" like Drew Brees or Russell Wilson. He is more in the mold of a Russell Wilson who only runs if he has to. And if you watch him, Baker Mayfield in the Oklahoma offense probably has more responsibility than most quarterbacks in NFL offenses do. They run a variation of, the old air raid, but they do it with tight ends. He can make all the throws. He goes through his read progression. I think he's a legit quarterback. And at 6'1", 215 pounds, I don't think he's really that undersized. He's not the perfect size, but Tom Brady's 6'2", 6'3". It's an inch difference.
He's listed at 6'4".
He is? Well, I've stood next to Tom Brady. He's 6'2".
The Baker Mayfield's official height is 6'5" tall.
6'1".
6'5"
You always round that up. Everybody knows that.
Okay, right. Well, in my days of playing, I was listed anywhere from 6'7" to 6'11". So there you go.
And you're 6'2".
I'm 6'2" as far as anybody else knows.
There you go.
Whatever. I like the fact that a lot of teams went for not what I would call star players. A lot of like Colts taking linemen and filling their coffers up with support players that they need to, again, because Andrew Luck is only going to be good if Andrew Luck has time and protection to do what he does.
Andrew Luck's only going to be good if he can get back on the field again someday, and I still don't think we know that for sure.
We don't know that for sure. We don't, but it's going to require even more protection because he is going to be more fragile than he was before his injury if he does come back. But I like to see teams trying to build defenses. Defensive ends seem to be a big. Again, I'm a novice talking to you about this. Why don't I shut up and let you just tell us what you think is good about draft? I'm researching the new stars of Dancing with the Stars, so I'll have a rundown on that. As soon as you're done with the draft, I'm going to give you the names of all the people participating. And there's some good ones.
Well, if I had to look at the 5 best moves for the draft, I would think one of them would be the Ravens selecting Hayden Hurst and Lamar Jackson. I know people have questions about Jackson, so do I. But I know that he's going into the right situation. He's got Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator. They've got a head coach in John Harbaugh that know how to put guys in the right position. He also has the luxury of not having to play right away unless Joe Flacco's back is not healed by game number 1. And the best friend of a young quarterback is a security blanket tight end. And with Hurst, the Ravens have that, and they have it for Flacco too. So when you look at it, I think the Baltimore Ravens did some nice things there. I think the New England Patriots did well. Tom Brady showed no signs of aging, but he's going to at one point. And the way to slow the onset of that would be to get offensive linemen. And they signed guard Isaiah Wynn, who I think they will try to convert to a tackle, and I think he'll be able to do that fine. They also added running back Sonny Michel from the Georgia Bulldogs, who's a perfect complement to that offense. So I think the Patriots just got better, which I know Steve is a Colts fan and will hate to hear. Then I look at Tampa Bay. The Bucs going into last year, I think, were a sexy pick to make the playoffs. That disappeared quickly as the season progressed. Jameis Winston never really seemed to be able to take care of the ball. When you look at how they drafted, I think that they're copying the Eagles' playbook for building a winner, and I think you can't get much smarter than that. That was proven when the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year. My other two teams that really stood out to me were the New York Giants. They didn't trade pick 2. They selected Saquon Barkley, who's a great running back. And I think with this selection, the Giants showed that they obviously feel that they can win now and that Eli Manning does have something left. And with Saquon Barkley, you get an entirely different dimension to that offense. And when you look at the Giants, you got to remember 2 years ago they were a playoff team on the strength of a defense, and that defense is still there. So with a quality defense and a running back like Barkley, you take a lot of pressure off of Eli Manning. They also signed Nate Solder to play tackle for Manning from the Patriots this year. So I think the Giants could definitely be a playoff team this year. And then my biggest shock would be this. I think the Los Angeles Chargers are one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the AFC just because of what they drafted. They just picked up safety Derwin James as a guy a lot of people had going top 10. He slipped. Now the Chargers have James plus Casey Hayward, Jason Barrett, Trevor Williams. They have a defensive backfield comparable to the Legion of Boom that the Seattle Seahawks had the last few years. And I think heading into this season, you have to favor the Chargers to win the AFC West. And I also think this, Steve. I think the Indianapolis Colts are in trouble.
Yeah, I think I think the hole that was dug by Grigson is deep, and I think it's just going to take time to fill it. I mean, I think they probably will not have a playoff year this year. They don't have a running back. They're going to rely. They're praying and hoping that Luck comes back and stays healthy. And they're really short on receivers now. They've lost some people. I've heard some talk of them thinking, somebody said now they should maybe grab Des Bryant for a year, which I think is a mistake. They tried that with Andre Johnson from Houston, brought him up for a year, and it busted out. I think the Colts they're defensively. I don't think they help themselves a ton defensively. I think when they didn't get Chubb, they got some other defensive ends. But anyway, this isn't all about the Colts. That's just my team. I don't see the Colts as being a playoff team. Tell me this, though. In your eyes, what 2 or 3 teams, by drafting, put themselves in the playoffs next year? Well, I know it's on paper. You can't go by – you got to take into account injuries are going to happen, and some players are going to just bust out. But what teams do you think that were not in the playoffs drafted themselves into the playoffs this year? That's a good question. That is a good question.
I think the Chargers are going to be a playoff team.
Okay.
I think in the AFC North, I think the Bengals will be a playoff team. I don't think they'll win a playoff game. But I think with what they already had in the AFC being weak, I just do. I think when you look at them, they've made the offensive line
Is Marv still there?
Marv
still coaching?
That's the killer. There's
that's why
talent there, but they're not going to do anything.
You guys never won a playoff game.
No. Well, we have, but it was 1990.
He was the coach.
Not in 1990, but it seems like it, yeah. No. But he's only been head coach since 2003, and they've only made the playoffs 7 or 8 times without winning a playoff game.
And never won a playoff game, right?
Yeah.
Never won a playoff game.
Not with Marvin.
So anyway, so
if I want to look at the 5 worst moves real quick, I would say number 5 would be the Packers and Vikings. They passed on Josh Jackson. They both did draft cornerbacks. They picked the Packers. I think got Jair Alexander. Mike Hughes went to the Vikings. Both of those are going to be really good NFL players, but I think Josh Jackson in the end is better even than Denzel Ward, who went with the 4th pick in the first round to the Browns, which was a bad move by the Browns, I still think. So I think both of those teams will wish they didn't. The Seattle Seahawks, if you want to talk about a team that I think is going to drop off tremendously and get their coach fired, it's going to be the Seahawks. They needed offensive linemen. They needed defensive players. And they go out and they draft a running back. It was stupid. To me, Pete Carroll seems hell-bent on being fired in the next year or two. I think the Saints gave up way too much for Marcus Davenport. I mean, when you look at Davenport is the old look like Tarzan but plays like Jane. He plays straight up and down. He plays poor competition. When he gets to the NFL, he's going to get stonewalled. He has no moves, no feet, no hands. He basically just tries to run past people, which will work at the University of Texas San Antonio, but it will not work in the NFL. I believe the 49ers, Niner fans, are all excited. They're going to win the Super Bowl because they finished last year strong. And I hate to tell them this, I think they had a really good draft. But the first pick of Mike McGlinchey, tackle from Notre Dame, he benefited from playing next to Quentin Nelson, who the Colts got. McGlinchey has strength issues. He has feet issues. I think he could turn into a decent player with good coaching. But to pick him in the top 10, I think is absolutely crazy. And then finally, the Buffalo Bills, they're a team that the free agency and the draft has taken them out of the playoffs, and they were in it last year. When you look at them, they traded away Tyrod Taylor, their starting quarterback. They picked up A.J. McCarron from Cincinnati. Tyrod Taylor is infinitely better than A.J. McCarron. A.J. McCarron is a horseshit quarterback that shouldn't even be in the NFL. I've worked him out before. He has no business being there. Then they go out and they trade up and grab Josh Allen. My problem with Josh Allen is he's a guy that I think is going to take at least a year or two to improve it all. And then in the free agency, they signed Russell Bodine, who is the worst center in the NFL. They bring in Marshall Newhouse, who's a terrible tackle. And this team basically has done so many things. It almost looks to me like they don't want to be in the playoffs this year. So that's my take on the NFL draft. And we had a bunch of people listen to our live draft show. I want to thank everybody that listened to that. Go to thegruelingtruth.net. Tomorrow morning, there'll be probably 2 or 3 draft articles. You'll actually see this, my top 5 moves, my 5 worst moves. Plus, Matt Minnick, who is our main draft guy at The Grueling Truth, wrote up ranking 1 through 32 from the best draft to the worst draft. So make sure you check that on thegruelingtruth.net tomorrow also. Anything to add tonight, Steve?
No, just a couple comments. Say all you want about A.J. McCarron, but he does have a smoking hot wife.
That's all you can say about him, though. And unfortunately,
it's okay. That's enough. That's more than a lot of guys can say.
You know what?
It's
enough.
Else, so.
It's enough until 30 years from now when she's all wrinkled up.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Cindy Crawford's not wrinkled up.
She'll have enough money.
She won't
be wrinkled up.
Yeah, and then you say Pete Carroll is trying to get himself fired. I figured he needs 2 years. This is about how long Chip Kelly will last at UCLA. And then
he can go back to UCLA.
Carroll can come back and coach UCLA instead of USC.
Well, Pete Carroll's also getting up close to 70 years old, so it's almost...
Yeah, well, that's why UCLA, he's a good-looking guy. He's an LA kind of guy. He fit into the LA lifestyle and looks, come down here and coach the Bruins. But you got to give Chip about 2 years to sour everybody on him at UCLA.
Oh, he won't. Chip will be wildly successful there.
Think so?
Yeah, put it like this. Chip is the main thing you have to be to sell your program and to be considered a successful college coach. He's a bullshit artist. And when they took him to the NFL and he had to actually coach against other coaches that knew X's and O's, he got his ass tore up. At UCLA, he will get enough players there through whatever means are necessary for him. He'll have the players there to be able to compete with anybody. I expect him to have that program in the top 10 within 2 or 3 years. Hopefully he just stays there the rest of his life and doesn't venture out into the water where the sharks are again.
There you go.
Now, right. See, I said that so then you could do the rising tide and the buoys thing because I love when you do that.
Nah, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to get on here and tell you right now. Here you go. Tanya Harding. She's in Dancing with the Stars. Adam Rippon, figure skater.
He's been on our show before. Not our show, but he's been on the network.
Yeah. Mirai Nagasu, another figure skater from the Olympics. Jamie Anderson, snowboarder. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Jamie Anderson's been on The Grueling Truth also.
Yeah. Notre Dame's national championship hero, Ariki Ogwanbole.
The hell?
Led her team to be. Chick Hoops. Notre Dame, Chick Hoops. Women's basketball. Oh, my God. Okay. What did I just say? Women's basketball.
Said you love women's basketball.
I didn't. I love women's basketball. Chris Matizer,
He has been on The Grueling Truth before.
Okay, he's a Luge guy. Gotta love Luge guy. Here we go. Jenny Finch Daigle, a women's softball player. Oh yeah, I've seen her pitch. Oh my God, that girl could throw. Here you go, Johnny Damon. He's not playing baseball anymore, is he?
No. Don't think.
Josh Norman, cornerback of the Redskins.
Yeah, he plays.
There you go. That's your 10.
All right. Hey, there you go. 10. We're moving up in the world because 4 of those 10 have been on The Grueling Truth for interviews before.
There you go. See, nobody else who does the show can claim that they've had 4 of the 10 Dancing with the Stars contestants on our show. We need to go get back with them and get one of them to do a guest spot. I'll do the interview because I'm a disciple of Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, I find.
Who was the first winner? Who was the very first winner of Dancing with the Stars?
How would I know? I don't watch that stuff.
28th season. Come on.
I'm 40.
Kelly
I'm a
Monaco.
Man.
You know it's Kelly Monaco.
I don't even know who Kelly Monaco is.
She's a soap actress.
I thought it was a guy, to tell you the truth, when you said it.
Soap actress.
Of course, maybe she thinks she's a guy because you're allowed to do that now.
Most popular winner of all time, Helio Castro Neves.
He is a Formula One driver?
No, 4-time or 3-time IndyCar winner.
Yeah, but did he drive Formula One before that?
No, he's not. He's not good enough to drive Formula One. He can only go left.
With a name like Castanevos, you would think that he would drive it.
I know. Anyways.
Hey, there goes your dog. Your dog's co-hosting now.
There you go. Time to get off the air.
We'll send him a royalty check.
Congratulations to Romeo Langford. Too bad about the NBA and the refereeing. It's just a sorry state. It's just the inconsistency of it all is no fun. And I'm rooting for Tanya Harding.
All right, and guys, if you want to send any messages to Steve, you can hit him at SRisley34 on Twitter. Also, survive and advance, or survive the magic, right, on Twitter.
Well, that's the official site, Survive the Magic, but you can look it up by Survive and Advance too.
Yeah, so make sure you check him out there. You can check out The Grueling Truth on Twitter at Grueling Truth. You can go to the website, find everything we do, www.thegruelingtruth.net. We will also have our first MLS article up tonight. And over to next week, the 3 people that are on Dancing with the Stars, or 4 people that we've had on, we will be republishing those interviews so you can go on and hear them. Chris Maisner, I think, won a gold medal in luge for the U.S., which he was the first guy to ever do that.
Yes, he did.
So you can actually hear the interview James Ernest from The Grueling Truth did with him a few months before he won the gold medal. Adam Rippon was on last summer, so we'll rerun that. There was another one on there too, but I don't remember who you said it was.
I don't remember either. I've already forgotten. We are doing a show. Are we doing a show Thursday?
If you want to do a show Thursday, we're doing a show Thursday. We don't know
Thursdays
what the topic
and Sundays.
is yet, but we'll figure that out. Yes, we will be here Thursday,
out.
Sunday. We just did the special one. We changed from Sunday to Monday night because of Romeo Langford and an announcement. So you can catch us every Thursday and Sunday night at 9 o'clock Eastern on The Grueling Truth. You can hear all of our shows on iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcast, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Steve
Couple
Risley,
things. Hold on. Couple things.
Jeez.
Tweet us some topics you want us to talk about if you want to. Yeah, we're free flow here. We roll with it. We're going with it. Secondly, I want to announce that we are putting together, for all you gearheads out there, I'm putting together a NASCAR version of this show. We're going to come up with a cute name. We're going to bring some people in. We're going to talk NASCAR, IndyCar, and a little bit of Formula One. And we're going to hopefully have that up and running within a week or two. But we'll get a little more involved in a sport that those who love it, passionately love it. Those who don't give a damn that it's even on.
And also,
but
go ahead.
No, I'm done.
All right, and if you want to write for The Grueling Truth or you want to do a podcast, make sure you hit us up at Grueling Truth. Just send us a message on there. And
because the talent that they have right now isn't worth shit.
No, as soon as we get ready, we'll be fine. All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to replace Steve, so we would like to find somebody with the same first name so it kind of flows the same. But
let's have a contest.
Well,
replace Steve.
You know Ted Kitchell's my second in line, so
I got a cell phone number if you want it. I can get you, matter of fact, I texted it to you the other day.
Well, we need to have him on the show anyways. We need to have him on the Indiana basketball show.
Okay, we'll get him on. Ted will do that for me.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up for tonight unless Steve wants to continue to talk.
Good night.
You know, your wife's probably sitting back there saying, I hope this show goes another hour so he talks to him instead of me.
No, there's a guy out there working on our dryer who's running up my bill, so I got to go out there and beat him up.
Oh, just buy a new dryer. It's cheaper and easier. It's not cheaper.
It's probably about where we're at right about now. Goodbye.
All righty. See you later. We will see everybody Thursday night. Remember, you've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.